Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, AR the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy's platform on abortion and how it is both interesting and very, very flawed overall. Obviously, I had to bring out the mega hat from storage for this particular episode. I wish this was American made because it seems like this Chinese made version, it's not as deep as it should be. It's missing some material. It should be farther down, obviously, on my head. Probably because you used some Chinese dude's head as a mold, is my guess, honestly. So, whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, so basically, about 2 hours or so ago, Vivek put out a tweet on X, or Twitter, whatever you want to call it there. And he was talking about the unborn specifically and parental rights and abortion and everything else like that. And it was basically, this is what he said here. It said, winning path for the GOP on abortion isn't to compromise our own principles. It's to practice what we preach, codify sexual responsibility for men into law. What about women, dude? Said if a woman carries a child to term, she can automatically make the man the legal responsible party for the child. If confirmed by paternity tests, it's not about men's rights versus women's rights. It's about human rights. And then he went on this whole like 6-minute spiel there about it and like discussing like 14th Amendment stuff and whatnot there and what have you. Which, it's good to see him actually seem like he actually cares enough to actually, go out there and truthfully, read the U.S. Constitution. That doesn't mean he understands it all, obviously. But the entire point of the matter is it's like, so here's the issue with that though, right? So you're talking about if she carries the kid to term, okay? So I could argue the opposite of that fact, dude. What if she chooses to have an abortion? Why shouldn't that father, or would-be father, be able to sue the fuck out of her? Why shouldn't that woman be charged with first-degree murder? Etc., etc. And that's the problem right here, right? Like, you want to talk about human rights, but yet, in reality, there is no father's rights, dude, in this country, legitimately. If you look at how flawed our court system's been since, like, 1920 or so, give or take, since women were first given the right to vote in this country, you have had a complete overhaul of the court system in the last 100 years or so. It's more like about 70, give or take, actually, about the 1950s, 60s, someplace in there is what it was. But yeah, basically, since around then, maybe up to the 70s, I don't think about it, because it would have been like second, third wave feminism becoming a thing. That's what it is. So maybe more like 50 years or so. But anyway, it's somewhere between like 50 and 70. The entire point I'm trying to make is you have our court systems being so one-sided and so lopsided to female parental rights by default, and there's no male parental rights at all, is what it is. And I've seen this firsthand with a bunch of my cousins who have had their kids taken away from them from some bitch who had, was the mother of that child and got fucking full custody by default, is what it is. It's the same thing there. It's a bunch of BS entirely, dude. And I know for a fact there are some women out there who just don't want to be mothers, is what it is, dude. So again, why shouldn't that father be able to have that kid? Why shouldn't that woman, in some cases, technically, under court order, be forced to carry that kid to term and give it up to that father? Now, granted, that itself could also open up a can of worms too, and basically, put us in a whole other situation. And, I made it very clear in the past and stuff like that, because the real problem I have with the left entirely, dude, is they always want to bring up the whole, like, rape incest thing is what it is, even though that only accounts for, like, a very, very small percentage of all, potential conceiving of kids in this country is what it is. The issue becomes, even if, and this goes back to something that happened there in Pennsylvania during the last election cycle, where you had that black woman there who admitted to being the product of rape and her mother choosing to have her even still. And that's the thing, right? Like, just because a child is a product of rape, why shouldn't they have human life? Like, seriously. For all we know, that could be the kid that creates fucking hover technology that would create hoverboards or something like that in this country for real. Like Back to the Future Style 2 ones and stuff like that. We could actually hover and stuff. or even in that same vein of things, however technology can make, flying cars a reality and stuff like that. So, yeah, to me, it's kind of bullshit, honestly. And it's a situation there where the real problem comes down to being, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, dude. When you look at globalism as a whole in this nation, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Soroses, etc., you have a situation there where you legitimately have people who have made it, Bill Gates as well as one of these people, have made it their agenda in life right now to legitimately end human life, to depopulate the world, is what it is. Not just America, but the world. And it's why they keep trying to do this whole forced diversity on America and other European nations and stuff like that, because they understand that in doing so, you have these people from the third world that will breed like fucking rabbits, is what it is, dude. Like, that's all they know how to do, basically, is breed. And so they'll outbreed the native population. And even Vivek brought up the other day about that great replacement theory and stuff like that, dude. It's not a theory at all. And that's what it is at the end of the day. It's you have these people in the Democrat Party right now who are legitimately bringing in the third world and the first world, and then wondering why we got third world problems everywhere. It's not that hard to figure out, man. It really is not. You close the border, you close the book, you do mass deportations, etc., and we fix a lot of these issues right now is what it is. Meanwhile, if you actually, and this is the thing I believe too as well for that matter, I think a lot of abortions, it's not the fact that people don't want to have kids. It's the fact that you have such a financial burden put on people right now in this country, and we're not incentivizing, families anymore. What we've incentivized for the last 50-something years in this country, since the fucking, EBT system became a thing, since the welfare system became a thing of food stamps and stuff like that, is single mother households. Legitimately. We've incentivized that as a country for the last, 5-6 decades now, since that became a thing. And so you have all these chicks being like, well, I don't need no man in the house. I can just go fucking have Big Daddy government take care of me now is what it is. And that's the problem entirely right there of itself, too, because what you're doing in that situation is you're now purposefully creating fatherless homes. You're purposefully creating single mother households. And you wonder why you have these kids, these, preteens and teenagers nowadays who are going to sit there and do, 30, 40, 50-person gangs and stuff like that and go mass rob a fucking place, whether it be a gas station or a Target or a Walmart or whatever the fuck it is, dude, it doesn't matter. And they're going to go flash rob these places. And that's a huge problem right there, because you're basically creating chaos instead of creating families. And even BLM talked about that. The people that actually led the Black Lives Matter organization is what it was, the Patrice Concolors of the world. They admitted at one point on the website that their entire thing was to literally make a 2-female household. It was to make a lesbian relationship household of 2 mothers, 0 fathers ever, and create this whole communist agenda is what it was. So when their own fucking facts come out of the fucking woodwork and they are admitting to your face what their end game is, believe them, because it's the fucking truth, dude. And of course they then, tried to reverse course and yank that shit off their website and stuff like that and be like, no, that's not what we meant. Here's what it is. It's like, no, that's 100% what you meant. You didn't mean for it to become, public knowledge is what it really was. But it did. Thank God. And that's what I said before. There's actually a group, I believe it's someplace in Virginia, that is one of these BLM chapters, which it shouldn't be. It should be called something else entirely, because it's a bunch of good fathers, dude. It's a bunch of men who have taken on a fatherhood role in the Black community is what it is. And they have helped kids out, and they have become mentors for a lot of young Black men, a lot of young Black females as well, for that matter, to be there to be a father figure to these kids. And in doing so, they've actually made their community better. And yet they fall under a BLM chapter instead of being their own thing at that point. And it's like, dude, the worst thing these people did was ever associate themselves with that group entirely, because you are something completely different. You actually give a shit about the community is what it is. And again, I think the real problem with a lot of people is that they don't come up with monikers is what it is. And like I said, dude, it takes a long time to do that stuff anyway. Because, the best ones are 3 letters, 4 letters, etc. So, And it's really hard to come up with stuff like that, is what it is then. But anyway, the entire point of the matter is, though, they could be better if they just dropped the BLM bullshit, is what it is, dude, and did their own thing. And we're like, no, we are the fathers of the community or something like that now, is what it is. They were doing stuff for the next generation and shit like that. But anyway. Yeah, that being said, I think Vivek is kind of wrong on the situation. Just from the perspective of the fact that he's basically being like, oh yeah, you know, if some chick can prove, you know, parental paternity test results or whatever on this dude, like the guy should basically be forced to be default, is what it is there. The issue comes right now, and I've talked about this before on the channel. There's guys out there right now that are sitting in our prison system currently, and this is what I actually called Vivek out on X, there is what it was. There are a bunch of guys sitting in our prison system right now in America, all across these states in this country, that are not the fathers of these kids. They have no physical responsibility for these children because they are not biologically their fathers. Yet, because of how fucking flawed our current parental system is, for parental courts is what it is, you have these dudes being put on the hook anyway. And when they refuse to pay, they get arrested and put in jail is what it is there. Hell, I heard about the guy recently, actually, in Texas. I think this was on Tim Pool's cast or something a couple weeks ago, where this dude will actually go, I want to say it's in the Houston or Austin area. I'm not sure which one. It's one of the major cities there. But he'll go to this main courthouse there every once in a while, take a lawyer that he paid out of his own pocket, and go down to, there's a specific section in the courthouse is what it is there, where it is for like paternity tests / parental cases or whatever there. And he will actually go to this line that's in anywhere from like 50 guys to 100 guys deep or more sometimes, and be like, hey, y'all want to pay $1 and have this guy be your lawyer for the day? And they're like, hell yeah. And so he'll make these deals with these dudes where they'll pay $1 to basically be given this lawyer pro bono, is what it is this dude paid for already. And this guy will just sit there all day for, 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever it is, and argue cases of how these guys have been fucked over by the system and stuff like that. And in almost every single case, he'll be able to get them off scot-free. And if it wasn't for that lawyer going there, it wasn't for that guy bringing that lawyer down there to do that, every single one of these guys would now be sitting in jail on some kind of charge for not paying child support, even though in many cases, they're not even the biological fathers of these kids. And again, this is what I've been saying the whole time of how fucked our court system is currently, dude. If anything, what we need to do is just completely do away with the fucking system entirely on this point and start it back up from the fucking ground up. I mean, hell, even our founding fathers, the Ben Franklins of the world, etc., have said in the past, every couple hundred years, government should be purged entirely. So, even our founding fathers talked about governments becoming tyrannical and, dealing with tyranny the correct way, which happens to be with the Second Amendment of the Constitution. So, I don't know, man. And I think what's funny, too, is that going back to Vivek's little video there, in that almost 6-minute video he did there, he was talking about how the reason that he's against what people like Nikki Haley, et cetera, are talking about with like codifying, a nationwide ban on abortion is what it is there, is because, if the Democrats ever take power again, they'll just codify Roe versus Wade. Pretty hard to do when you're in a fucking coffin, dude. Like, seriously. Like pretty hard to do if those people are dead. You know what I'm saying? Which is honestly, like, what should have already happened a long-ass time ago with dealing with tyrants in this country. People with high treason and stuff like that. When you're openly committing high treason, which is what many of these people are, all these congressmen, all these senators, et cetera, the penalty for treason is death, legitimately. Honestly, I can make a good fucking case right now for bringing back Salem witch trials for that matter, honestly, dude. We just burn motherfuckers at the stake again is what it is then. So, because I think some of these people are legitimately doing witchcraft at this point, honestly. But that's besides the point. The entire point is, though, is that you have individuals who have completely decimated and genocided an entire generation at this point. And yet these same individuals, these federal government stooges, etc., are not being charged with crimes against humanity at this point in history. Why? Why are they not being charged with that, dude? When they have openly mass murdered over 30 million Americans in a 50-year time span. It's insane, dude. And especially when you look at how many kids were actually killed in a Roe versus Wade since 1973 and continue to be killed today even after it was, undone with the Dobbs decision last year. We wouldn't even need any kind of importation of this country if we just had Americans having children again. It's just sad and pathetic, dude, to even be having these discussions right now, when the simple solution is to allow the most innocent and unborn to be born. And if somebody is going to stop that child from being able to be given human life outside of the womb, then that person should be charged with murder, is what it is. Period. End of story. And if that be the supposed mother of the kid, which is nothing more than ignorant at that point, if she wants to kill that kid, or if that be the doctor performing the fucking procedure, whatever the case be, these people should be charged with murder, dude. Period. There's a reason why when you have charges being levied against people, when you have a person kill a pregnant woman, there's a reason why that person is charged with 2 murders, not just 1. But yet, a woman can go to an abortion clinic and kill a kid 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months along, and she's not charged with murder. There's something wrong with this country, dude. There's something demonically evil that has infested this nation right now. And that's why I've said many times on this channel, I believe we are truly fighting demons at this point. We are in a battle of good versus evil. And right now, evil is winning. Do I believe that evil will win out entirely? Fuck no. I think good will eventually take over evil. And I believe when it's all said and done, we're going to be a better country overall. But the problem that comes right now is, in the meantime, what happens? You have a lot of evil people being allowed to do a lot of evil deeds right now and not being held to account. Maybe that will change next year. Maybe that will change in a year or two, honestly. And that's the one thing I think is probably the most hilarious thing about Vivek's, 6-minute video there is what it was, is this man is talking about Democrats taking power in 20, 30 years. It's like, dude, the way we're going, we're not going to be a fucking country in 20 or 30 months, for God's sakes. We are already at a fracturing moment in this nation right now where it's going to be a fucking Mad Max wasteland if something does not change course. And I don't mean something. I mean a lot of things for that matter. I'm not talking about just like one person getting into a position of power like presidency or whatever the case be. I'm talking about a whole fucking overhaul across the board. I'm talking about a bunch of people being brought up on a fuck ton of felony death penalty charges, what it is at the end of the day. Because until that stuff happens, until we do a complete overhaul that way, and we take out the pure fucking evil in our world right now that exists in this country, nothing is ever going to change. We will never be able to make America great again, legitimately. You will have the evil entities continue to fester, to take hold, to grasp onto what is still good in this world. It's why they attack the kids so much, man. It's why you have these child molesting pieces of shit in education right now, falsely claiming to be teachers, that are actively pushing these agendas right now. Hell, gays against groomers. They put out a great thing here today, actually, which was talking about the new slippery slope here. I'm going to go ahead and grab it up right here real quick, actually, which was specifically this thing right here, which is the new slippery slope. Children can consent to puberty blockers and hormones. Children can consent to removing body parts. Children can consent to sex with adults. AKA the new slippery slope. And that's the truth at the end of the day, dude. Like, that's what they want, honestly. That's what these fucking pieces of shit in our society, these leftist pieces of shit want, dude. They want the kids to be so fucking confused, they don't know what the fuck they are anymore. So they'll consent to fucking sterilization drugs. So they'll consent to fucking body manipulation through double mastectomies, through bottom surgeries, etc. And then it's fucking literally one step away from them consenting to fucking sex with adults. And it's fucked up, dude. You know, and it's not a slippery slope fallacy to think about that anymore, dude, because it very much is true at this point, honestly. You know, there's a reason why you have people like Chloe Cole and other detransitioners like her suing the fuck out of places like Kaiser Permanente right now, dude, for literally putting them into a fucked up place in their lives when they were 11, 12, 13 years old to go out there and get double mastectomies, etc., to be put on testosterone, to permanently fuck up their entire system to where they can probably never have kids in their entire life now because they've been permanently sterilized. And it's just disgusting, dude. Again, it's demonically evil. And it's these everyday people that call themselves doctors doing this shit, dude. Like, seriously, what is the first thing in medical school that they teach these people? Do no harm, period. It is do no harm. Do no harm to patients. Do no harm to anybody, dude. When you were telling kids to cut pieces of themselves off, when you were telling kids to go on hormone drugs that will permanently sterilize them, you are doing irreparable harm to these children. And I've had it personally, dude. I really have. So, anyway. Just to be clear, I want to make a clear statement. Here's what it is. Because of things that were said a few months ago is what it was there. I'm not threatening anyone, feds. I'm sure as shit not threatening Vivek. I think he actually stands a good chance to winning, honestly, at this point. And I'm okay with that, honestly. So, you know, am I going to vote for the guy? Maybe, maybe not. Who depends? But yeah. This isn't a fucking Andrew Yang situation 2019, motherfuckers. Seriously. I already know you guys busted some other dude for threatening Vivek's life is what it is the other day. So, which that guy actually was, by the way. And I want to point that out too, by the way. There's a video that came out the other day of this dude in Connecticut that was legitimately sending like threatening text to Vivek is what it was there, dude. And there's a huge difference from what that fucking guy was doing and what I said 4 years ago about Andrew Yang, dude. And even the feds fucking admitted that shit to me after the fact is what it was then. So... yeah, it is what it is. But right now, I'm actually looking for a lawyer to see if they would take my case pro bono to see the shit out of the feds at this point for that whole thing because of how much mental distress it's given me over the past, 48 months now. So, anyway. That being said, that's pretty much where we're at for the day. Hopefully, we can actually turn things around here with a potential pendulum swing. I don't know, man. It really depends, honestly. But I don't see anything getting better for a long, long time in this country. I think it's going to take at least, I would say, honestly, it's going to take a historical event to happen right now, whether that be a revolution, whether that be a civil war, whatever the case be. And it won't be until about a decade or so after that, where you have like a reconstruction period of this country again, that you're actually going to have this nation be able to be whole again, is what it is. And that's not going to be my generation at that point, dude. It's going to be my kids, or it would be, potentially my grandnieces and nephews, etc. would be their generations. That would be the ones, growing up in that then is what it is. So it really all depends, man. But yeah, I definitely think we're definitely in that point in history right now where You have the that fourth turning event where it's basically you've had the weak men doing what they needed to do here and making this country super weak again is what it is. And you're now going to have the strong men coming in there and making this country legitimately great again is what it is there. Yeah, the weak men have created the hard times, and basically the hard times are now going to create the strong men eventually is what it's going to be here. So, anywho. But, yeah, needless to say. I'll be back in about probably 2 hours from now, I'm guessing, give or take, maybe a little bit less than that, on Honda's chat, where we'll discuss more about this and whatnot. So, I'll obviously discuss that other story I talked about earlier today, too, with that woman there in Illinois. So, but yeah, other than that, that's where I'm at for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I will be back for Buckshot Thursday, legitimately. Like I said, probably no Wednesday stream, unless, again, something like this pops up and I get to just do like a half-hour stream or something like that for it then. But, yeah, most likely it won't be anything scheduled for tomorrow. It won't be until Thursday. We'll actually do something there. And on Thursday, we'll be talking about a couple different 2A-related topics then, and just some other police-related topic stuff is what it is there, with like private policing and private military contractors and stuff like that is what it is there. So, anyway. Other than that, though, hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good night, and check out Honda's chat later tonight, where we will discuss hopefully some 2A topics, and it won't turn into some weird fucking pedophile talk like it has for the last 2 weeks now. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one, though, man. Have a good one, y'all. Later.